Hi, my name is Courtney Peterson.
And I'm Alexis Stone.
And today we're going to be talking about bruxism and stress and its effects on oral health. We all know what stress is, or AKA high cortisol. But what does high cortisol do to the body? It causes our body to release catecholamines and pro-inflammatories, creating excess energy that can build up in our muscles and cause a subconscious muscle tightening. As for bruxism, there are two circadian manifestations, awake and sleep bruxism. Awake bruxism has stress being considered as more of a direct relation or correlation, creating a sustained or repetitive contact, as well as stiffening and thrusting of the mandible. Those with awake bruxism are more likely to experience jaw pain or limitations in movement. Those with sleep bruxism, stress is seen as a comorbidity or a risk factor. It can cause a rhythmic or non-rhythmic bruxism that peaks before the REM of the sleep cycle. It also exacerbates bruxism that is related to other sleep problems.
Did you know the prevalence of sleep bruxism is found at 8 to 13% in the general population, showing more commonality in children at 14 to 18%. Most people think sleep bruxism is the most popular. However, in our research, we found that awake bruxism is more common, showing 22 to 31% in the general population.
What is the correlation between sleep or stress and bruxism? Why is high stress associated with bruxism? In multiple studies that we were able to look through that tested salivary cortisol levels, it was found that excess energy produced by stress can actually be used or expressed through bruxism. Many of the results showed that there were lower levels of stress in their salivary cortisol levels when a group was able to brux versus the group that was unable to.
Bruxism in itself does not require treatment. However, management is indicated due to the problems that arise from the results of bruxism.
What are some oral manifestations of bruxism that we can look for in our patients? There are quite a few, including things like abnormal tooth wear, frequent fractures, frequent headaches, oral facial pain, hypersensitivity, and masticatory muscular hypertrophy.
Courtney just talked about oral manifestations, and now we are going to move into radiographic and clinical manifestations. Something that we want to really pay attention to radiographically is the generalized widening of the PDL space. This widening allows things such as mobility to increase, as well as the increase in periodontal disease. In our research, we found many sources that say that there are effects on dental implants. Although there are no biological complications like peri-implantitis, it can cause an increase in mechanical complications like fracture of the implant or prosthesis.
Diagnosis and treatment. When it comes to diagnosing and helping our patients diagnose their bruxism, it's important to do a thorough patient report and clinical interview. You also want to do a thorough clinical examination, making sure to look for all the signs that we have spoken about, and be able to look at the intraoral appliances that they may or may not have, as well as any signs of wear. You also want to record all of their muscle activity and muscle pain. When it comes to potential treatments, Alexis is going to get a little bit more into that. However, we are going to touch on oral appliances, behavioral strategies, relaxation and improvement of sleep hygiene, and administration of botulinum toxin. What questions should we be asking ourselves? We should be asking ourselves, what are the best steps I can take as a clinician for the health of my patients?
So today we're going to talk about 4 different remedies you can go into as a clinician. First being lifestyle and home remedies. This is something we can educate our patients on that they can fix in their own home care. For example, you can teach them to decrease the stress in their overall life. You teach them good sleep habits, making sure they're getting enough sleep at home. Making sure that their partner is aware that they may be bruxing and have them bring attention to it as they're doing it. Avoiding stimulating drinks right before bed, such as alcohol, teas, and coffees. And making sure that they are scheduling regular dental exams to stay on top of it. Next, we'll go into dentists and orthodontists. Both of these professions can help look for things that are wrong in our occlusion or causing malocclusion. They are able to take those hard edges down or give us certain things like mouth splints and mouth guards to help protect our soft and hard tissues in our mouth. The next, we will follow up with their healthcare provider. If their bruxism is being caused by anxiety or depression, their healthcare provider can prescribe medications to help alleviate that pain. As a side effect of some anti-anxiety medications, it is bruxism. So if this is something that they are being treated with, make sure that they are aware of this and they follow up with their healthcare provider if this is something that they are being affected with. With this healthcare provider, they can also, if they see fit, prescribe muscle relaxants and or botox to help release some of the pressure in those muscles. Finally, we can refer them to sleep medicine specialists. These specialists can run diagnostic tests to see what kind of sleep medicine that they need help with and help diagnose them with the proper needs they see fit. One of the most up-and-coming terms of treatment is the administration of Botox. Each state is starting to become more popular with letting their dental hygienists perform this administration, so we just need to see what state we're in and see if it falls within our scope of practice. There are 4 things that we need to have done in order to administer Botox. 1 is being under the direct supervision of our dentist. 2 is that it has to be prescribed from our dentist for our patients. 3 is that we have to follow up with the right training and education in the administration of Botox. And 4 is that we have to let our patients know that this is something that has to be touched up on every 3 to 6 months, and it is not a one-time cure-all. As we get older, stress increases and takes a toll on our body. We as clinicians need to watch for signs of bruxism manifesting itself in our patients and take the best steps we can to personalize the care that they need.
Thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and we are ready to accept any questions that you may have.